I would say one of the reasons I've gotten involved in other ventures apart from the preaching of the word and the governance of the church is and I'm a convinced and settled Presbyterian, which means that I'm happy with and delighted with and convinced of the necessity of plural leadership at the local session. So I'm happy to govern the church with the board of elders. We've got a faithful group of elders. But that's like saying I think aircraft carriers are essential to our national military defense. That doesn't make an aircraft carrier easy to turn around. Aircraft carriers, whatever else their strengths, they don't turn on a dime. And so when I've gotten involved in other ventures, whether it's music or writing books or that sort of thing, or blogging, the decision making there is turn on a dime. If I'm the chief cook and bottle washer at my blog, and I own my blog and I pay the expenses and I do those things. If something comes up today, I can change a plan and be writing about it tomorrow. If I were writing a position paper for the church, right, it would be very slow and painstaking process, and both approaches have their strengths and their place. But I think that if pastors settle down into sort of the Presbyterian way for everything, it's going to slow the game way down.
Yeah, that's a great insight. Along that line, I know this is maybe moving things kind of down a little rabbit trail, but on that point, I think that some guys, because they don't have an outlet for some of their energy over push, there's a kind of a natural sort of process the church has to go through to make that turn. And if you try to do it too quickly, you may capsize or something, And so because of the impatience that some guys have, they have disasters occur.
Especially young guys.
Yeah. But if you have this other outlet, this other thing that you're excited about, it's like the plate splitting thing. You get this plate going, you go over here and spin this plate for a while. That plate starts to wobble a little bit. Now, I know it can get crazy if you have 10 plates, but I think it's healthy to have a couple.
Right.
So, I'm just spinning this plate all the time. I'm really getting tired of this. And
another thing is that if you're involved in business, if you're out in the market with actual people, the realities of market transactions don't have Christian manners.
Yeah.
So and so you might I believe that every pastor needs to be a student of the word, but he also needs to be a student of people. People the way they actually are.
Right.
Not people the way they dress up on Sundays, but people as they actually do business, write contracts, welsh on deals.
That's right. I've experienced those things.
And I think that a lot of pastors would be well served by learning, taking a few side courses in human nature.
Yeah, and along that line, my best guys over the years have always been the small business guys, because they have a sense of the whole. So the corporate guys, they're in the bureaucracy. The dominant emotion in any bureaucracy is fear. It's once you understand that, you understand why no one wants to do anything. So, but in a small business where you have a sense of the whole, there's a different dynamic. There's more initiative, and I think, in a strange sort of way, a local church has more in common with a small business than the corporate world, even in some good-sized churches, mainly because you can have a sense of the whole.
Right.
And so I've found that my fellowship, my friendship, and an ability for some of these small business guys to identify with what I'm talking about going through is great. But I also think it's great to get out and actually do some business and sort of experience what you described. Because, like you said, there's a kind of reality on the ground that you become a little less, I guess, I don't know. I think that some guys who are in the business world, and some women too, but they're a little bit impatient with many pastors because they seem to be too, head in the clouds. Don't have any sense of. Now, maybe we want our business guys to get their heads in the clouds sometimes. I understand, but if you can't ever kind of get your feet on the ground in the way we're talking about, your credibility with some really key and very gifted and helpful people will be compromised.
And one other comment about a pastor. Let's say a pastor's in a tent making position where he has to do something outside. And a young man in this position came to me and said, should I minister in the church and then get a part-time job at this big corporation down the road where I spend 20 hours a week in a cubicle? Or should I help my wife manage her yarn shop, something like that? I would say the yarn shop 100 times every time. And part of the reason is there are false signals that are sent in the corporate world, which is a bureaucratic world, or the government world, which you've got a job and you might be forced to take that job just to put food on the table as literal tent making. But if you have a choice, I would go where there's risk and where there's adventure, and the entrepreneurial spirit can teach you things. I heard someone many years ago illustrate this difference. I thought it was quite telling. He's around Christmas time and he's walking down through town and he pops into the post office where one of his friends is behind the counter working, and there's boxes everywhere. And he says, "Hey, how's it going, Bob?" And Bob says, "Oh, it's the worst time of the year." And then he goes down the street and pops into a shoe store owned by a friend, say Fred. Boxes everywhere. "How's it going?" "Oh, it's the best time of the year." Well, same number of boxes. Mm-hmm. What's the difference? Right. Opportunity versus someone else's.
Yeah. Right.
Someone else's boxes versus your boxes.
Right. That's right.